MRecktv.
Peace, worlds. M.Reck for MRecktv. I got a special guest in the building with me, Tonesa Welch, First Lady of BMF. How you doing?
I'm doing fine. How are you?
I'm great. I'm
doing
great.
amazing. Yeah, good. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Now, where you located right now? Because I see some skyscrapers in the backdrop.
I'm in Corktown, Detroit. Like it's a
Okay.
downtown area of Detroit.
Nice.
Nice. Yeah, it's a nice area.
Now, the movie is called The First Lady of BMF, or?
Yes.
Okay.
First Lady of BMF, the Tonesa Welch story, streaming on B.E.T Plus.
Nice.
October 5th. Yeah.
October 5th.
Yes. It's a
Now,
Thursday.
Is it anxiety there?
Oh,
being
yeah.
that the date is approaching?
Yeah. It's anxiety. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Nice. Nice. So how do you deal with that, knowing that the world's about to officially hear your story and see it?
Try to meditate, not to think about it so much, self-talk. It's going to be okay. It's here. This is something that I wanted. So it's here. Let's do it. You asked for it. God gave it to me. Now I got to be ready for it.
Facts. Facts. I watched the movie.
Thoughts?
Incredible. Incredible. Incredible story.
Thank you.
The hardship, the pain, the grind.
Yeah.
The determination, dedication.
Yes.
The love for your family.
Yes.
What do you want people to take from the movie after watching it?
I really want to inspire people. My first thoughts was to, I work in prison reform a lot, so I want to make sure that people know it's always a second chance. There's always hope. Never give up, and just see the ups and downs, what comes in that life. A lot of society tends to make it seem so glamorous, but it's a short-lived life. And it all might be fun and games, but in the end, what do you end up? It's nowhere around it, like prison or, death or something like that. So I just want people to see it, see the layers of life, see everything that I see, how many different layers, how tough, behind all the glamour, look at all, it's also darkness, and pain. It wasn't about me, hurt your family, hurt the society, So I want them to see that part of it. It's just not, it wasn't about, it's a selfish life almost,
Now, take us to that moment when you first got into that life. At what age? And do you remember the exact moment? I know you do, but I have to ask you these questions.
I remember, I was very young. And at that time, when you're young, you have no fear, I don't think you really think, you're just out there doing something, you living out here, you just want to be doing you, nobody can tell you anything. I was very young and I was excited about the life, just seeing it, it comes with a lot of glamour, it comes with a lot of power, it comes with a lot of excitement, and seeing that, I wanted to be a part of that.
Now, before you got involved with that life, what was your life like?
I grew up in a middle-class family, 3 brothers, a mom and stepdad, just a regular young girl, very close to my family, dating my high school sweetheart, he was in college, he went to Oklahoma in college, left with him, came back, and my whole world turned around. Just wanted to be a different person, I always was kind of like a, I was like a leader, but just kind of sheltered leader, like, I had my certain friends, I stayed close to my family. I guess I wanted to break away from that. And that's what I did.
Now, take us to the moment that lifestyle intrigued you. Like, take us right there.
I went to this party on the east side of Detroit. I'm from the west side. And it was like I went into, you know how you go in the revolving doors? It was like I went
Correct.
into this party and it was just like so much excitement. I'm young, and you know, probably the most excitement I had was, you know, hanging out with my friends, joyriding, going to the mall or roller skating. So this time I went to this party and it was like, you know, a party where all the, you know, high rollers was hanging out at, you know, the drug
Mhm.
dealers, the pimps, you know, everybody like that was at this party. So they were looking to me glamorous, and they were just partying. Everybody looked, you know, so rich, and I wanted to be a part of that. I said, okay,
Mm.
this is where I wanted to be. So, you know, seen a guys that kind of caught my eye, and it was on and cracking from there. It's like, okay, this is where I
Mm.
want to be. You know, it's from the east side. Like, you know, you're
Mhm.
not like you want to. When I was growing up, like the east side was like those dudes over there were like, okay, you want to be. You know, I'm a good girl. I want to be over here with the bad boys. So that was when my life changed. I think it was like 20 years old, 19, something like that.
Got you. So you from the west side?
Yeah, West Side Detroit.
Got you. So the east side is where all the hustlers was
Ah,
at.
they was balling. All the ballers were on the east side of Detroit. I mean, yeah, on the east side, but I thought they were all on the east side. Yeah. And so
Mm.
they were all, they used to always hang out. You know, you when you pulling up, you seeing the big cars, you seeing the jewelry, you
Mhm.
know, things that I didn't grow up seeing. You know, I was always into fashion, but not what I was seeing when I went to that party. And, you know, you looking at the women, you know, everybody was much older than me, but I still
Mhm.
wanted to be a part of that life. I ended up going with my brother's girlfriend. And from there, it was like, okay. She said, you want to go to this party with me? I'm like, yes. And after that, it was just like, hey, it was on.
Now, being that I watched the movie, your brother girlfriend, she had a big influence on you, right? Correct?
Yeah, she did. I mean, but yeah, but she wasn't as, yeah, she
Mhm.
did. I looked up
Mhm.
to her. Yeah.
Got you. Now, is this a lifestyle that she was into, or she kind of got
No,
into it during the same time you
I
did?
think we both got into it at the same time still though,
Mm.
you know, but she knew about the party because I was gone to Oklahoma with my sweetheart, with my oldest son father. He was going to college. I went for a few months. I came back and she had already started, you know, going out and going to the parties. So when I came back, she was like, hey, you want to go to this party? And I'm like, yeah, I want to go, you know. She said, it's going to be a lot of players there, you know, building it up. And once we got there, we both was excited. You know, she wanted to be
Mm.
in that work, in that life, in that world too. But
Wow.
I think I was the one that got into it more than she did. So yeah, she didn't meet
Now,
anybody. I met someone.
at this party, you met somebody that totally changed your life.
Totally.
In the movie, his name was H.
Yeah. Call him
Now,
Harvey. Yeah.
they called him Harvey in the movie.
Yeah. But on the streets they called him H.
They call him H.
Yes.
Now, H, did he put that mask on? Like, you know how you meet somebody for the first time and, you know, they might put a mask
Or put
on.
that
Like,
charming, put that
yeah,
charm on. Yeah, he did.
okay.
Hmm. Yes, he did.
Now, what was his greeting to you? Because you know how you first meet somebody in the movie, it was portrayed. See, I don't want to give it away, but in the movie, it was portrayed like he came through with some champagne.
Well, at that party,
Mhm.
it was like that. That's when I was first introduced to champagne through him.
Mm,
And it was, I think back then it might have been Cristal, some I can't remember, Pipers. It was something. It was champagne though.
mm,
Yeah, so the levels grew. You know, you start off with I think it was Pipers, then the Cristal. So they were drinking champagne. And it wasn't like, you know, no little drinks. So I'm telling you, this party, they were balling. And the place that the party was at was like really nice. It was like one of the hot spots in the city, you know, in the city of Detroit. And so whoever gave this party, you know,
mhm,
like they balled and they had everything, you know, it was the DJ, they was dancing,
mm.
you know, the drinks was flowing. And yeah, he introduced me to champagne.
So let me set the scenery. So we talking about bottles on top of bottles. We talking about VIP. I'm just trying to
Well,
set the scenery for people who didn't see the movie.
Yeah, it was
Okay.
like a party that I hadn't been to before. When you pull up, you couldn't even tell from the cars.
There you
The
go.
cars were laid out. The people, the whole.
What kind
But
of cars
people
we talking
thinking now
about?
that they just seeing it. It been did. It been did. No, nothing changed but the faces. That
Got you.
they've been rolling. They've been balling. We just didn't have social media and nothing like that where you can see it.
Mhm.
They've been living like that.
So
You
basically,
know.
when y'all pulled up to the clubs, y'all saw the foreigns outside, stuff like
Yeah.
that, the foreign cars
Yeah.
outside.
It was the Benzes, the big Benz, the big bodies up, out
There you
there.
go.
It
Talk
was,
that
it
talk.
was given. It was a life.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, all right, we're gonna go right to H.
Hmm.
So when H, I guess, gave you his number and you called him, what was that first day like with H? Did he show you he was in the lifestyle? Or he kind of hid it from you.
He kind of hit it, but I could,
Mhm.
I wasn't naive,
Mm.
So, yeah, I mean, he didn't come right out and say, hey, I'm, dealing. But, once we started dating, I started going around his friends, and you can just tell there was always money, it was always cars, the women around, they were looking great, if it was in the wintertime. I can't remember if it's going into the winter or when did I meet him? Like April. So it's still kind of cool. They had on their
Mhm.
furs or the jewelry. Back then they was wearing like I think it was the ropes or something like that.
Mhm.
And,
The rope
they
chain.
were still wearing them. They had Rolexes and, nice watches, jewelry, like they just look good. They really look good.
Got you. So what was the first day that you got introduced to that part of the lifestyle, the drugs and the fast life, so
The
to speak?
first day, like, oh God, you're checking me way back. I can't remember the first
Mhm.
day. I mean, I do remember the first time seeing him do it, and
Okay.
it didn't scare me. I was interested, I wanted to learn. I wanted to see what it was about. Because like I said, that lifestyle came with a lot of perks. You get to go
Mm.
shopping. You get to, and it's a status thing also. Especially I hate to say it now, but back then it was like a status when when you balling, it comes with like a, you come with, it's like a boss type man. It is a boss mentality. You get the
Correct.
respect. People respect you. You can buy what you want. What you want. You can get anywhere you want to go. When you went to the bars and something, he introduced me to like going out. And it was a thing where people automatically respected that. You come in just like they come in now.
Mhm.
You get your table. Everybody know you at the door in the club. You automatically, you spending money, so you are respected.
Got you. See, I want you to open up a little bit. You told me to take it easy. And this part we edit. This part we edit, so it's all good.
Uh-huh.
I want to get to that day he put
The
that brick
day
on the
that I
table.
actually seen drugs,
Yeah,
or the
that day when he
date.
put that brick on the table. Was it?
It didn't really, it was just cool. It was like, seeing him do that, it was just like,
Mm,
like if you see a Scarface movie or something, I can take it there. It was just exciting. I thought
mm,
like, oh shit, like remember back then it probably was Superfly. Remember Superfly was all
correct.
sharp in the movies. It looked like that to me. It was just like,
Mm,
I remember the Superfly movie. I was a young girl, so maybe back then it interests me. So
mm,
I wasn't a girl that feared anything. I grew up around my brothers. They were well respected in the neighborhoods, nobody messed with us, nobody messed with me. So it wasn't like I was naive or scared. So when he
mhm.
introduced me to it, I was excited. I wanted to, see what that was about. And, it made me look at him like, okay, my nigga balling. He doing something I hadn't seen before. So it was like cool to me. Like it's a fascination. I was
Got you.
fascinated by seeing it. I was like, okay, shit. And watching him do it and watching him grind, watching him break it up. And he was a money getting man. I mean, a young
Mm,
man then back then. He was serious about his business at a young age because he had came under some older men, who was out there in
got
the
you.
city. So he learned his skills from them. He was like, it's always somebody, then you become the man. And so the people he was around, that even intrigued me, because now I'm in that circle, like I'm feeling good. And so watching it, I felt like, okay, now I'm one of those people that everybody respects. And also because I'm with these group of people. So when you come in, they look at you wherever we at, and just seeing it on the table, or seeing him break it down, or seeing him bring it in, seeing him count the money. You know, I'm young, so watching that money count, that was like, okay, shit, I ain't seen that before. So yeah, I was excited. You know, somebody
So you
handed you a
sound
stack of money, you a young girl, come on. Somebody bag you something. He was immediately, he started buying things, you know, like immediately.
got
Like
you.
it's always to acknowledge that H was always like a real well dresser. He still is, you know, since he came home. And so he was like, being with him, I had to look good. So if I'm going out with him immediately, he knew what he wanted immediately. I knew I wanted him. So he immediately started, you know, he had this coat, I had to have that coat. He wore this watch, I had to have that watch. It was immediate. So, you know, you get attracted to those things. So you roll it. I'm your Bonnie now. You know, I want to be like you. So that's how we
Bonnie
rolled
and
out.
Clyde, y'all rolling.
We were Bonnie and Clyde.
Matching rollies, matching
Huh?
rollies, matching rollies, matching
Matching rollies
Benzes.
back then. He bought me a Chanel like when I was 20 years old. People think it just came out. He bought my first Chanel, and I'm like, okay. I mean, I had a little Louis Vuitton. My mom bought me, you know, but back then, you know, like I'm saying, he bought me this bag, and I'm like, okay. Bought me back then. It was this coat called John Knight. You know, it was like, okay, I got me a John Knight coat. You know.
Okay.
So it was then,
Okay.
you know, here come the winter. You got to have a fur on. I'm a young woman. So, yeah, I was excited about all that. Nothing he did scared me. Anything he wanted to do, I was down for it.
Got you. Got you. Now, he first introduced you to another part of the lifestyle, I believe, the checks, the
Yeah,
scamming of
we
checks.
used to, yeah. One thing about him, like I said, he was a money get man. So, got to turn me on to this thing where back then, you know how you go to the bank and you get checks. Not on, I think they probably crashed the check system now, but we got the checks. We take some of the, you know, I hate to say it, like we take some of the people that were users, have them open bank accounts. And once they open the bank accounts, go and buy stuff. You know, you go buy a refrigerator. People need a refrigerator. It was like people were putting in orders. I need a refrigerator. So it wasn't like going in there buying little stuff either. He was making sure we got to get a TV. We got to get refrigerators, washers and dryers, anything to add that money up. So it was things like that. And back then, like I said, I wasn't scared to do that either. I'm like, okay. You know, I always just thought, you know, that what if they say that grandiosity life or something, that lifestyle, I had no fear. I didn't know it, you know. I didn't understand it. I thought that I couldn't be, you know, get caught up. It just, or if I did, it didn't bother me. I didn't think about the consequences, I could say back then. Didn't
Got
understand
you.
the consequences.
Now, was there
Just
a
wanted,
time?
that greed for money. That's what I wanted to. I wanted to have that money too. Like we had, I wanted to have it also. Greed kicks in.
Understand. Now, during that time, was it a situation where things got a little spooky? Like maybe, like, you know, because when you running those checks, you scamming those checks, you taking a big risk.
Right.
Was it a situation where, you know, it got a little risky and your freedom was at risk?
No,
Okay.
never did. Never did. Only reason I think he backed off of it because he was starting making too much money. One thing about him, and he did teach me that you don't have, if you too many hustles, illegal hustles will fuck it up. He thought they start saying that's little money, and that little money can get me fucked up from what I'm doing over here. So leave that shit alone. And we just left it alone.
Got you. Now, this part right here, I probably edit because I want to make sure this question is cool for you.
Okay.
Because I know H got kind of abusive during the
Right.
relationship. Are you cool with speaking on that, or you want to?
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
it's out there now. I mean, and he also, H came home about 2 years ago. Total, he did 18 years. And through his journey, when he came home from prison, we had a long talk, and he told me he wanted me to talk about it. He wanted me to, he was very remorseful, apologetic, telling me, what made him do the things that he did, because it was a gaps we hadn't talked in a long time. But when he came home, he wanted to express how bad he felt about doing it, and what made him do it. So he thought that I needed, at the time I didn't know I needed, maybe his apology, a sincere apology, but I guess I did. And once we talked about it, he told me I could share it. He said, I want you to share that because, like he said, when he was in prison, he had a young guys coming in, and he was like, I used to be that, that stupid motherfucker. And he said, it would help other girls. So if it helps you, I would rather you talk about it. He said, because I was crazy. I was a fool, but that's not who I am today. And if you need to talk about it, you need to share it and help somebody else, you need to do that. So so that was pretty big with him because I didn't share it. And so I discussed it with my son, who I have a son with him. And he was like, yeah, I think you should. And, that was the journey from there. Because I didn't share it until Trap Queens.
Yeah, I actually got to watch Trap Queens because I heard that's where the momentum came from.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, that first moment where it got abusive, what caused it? Or did he just snap one day? Or
he just snapped one day. He just snapped. After all the time, it was a shock because you think somebody that loves you shouldn't hit you, shouldn't do anything to hurt you. So it was a real shock. But yeah, it was a shock. Like, damn, you hit me, and then after that, when you don't leave and you make people think it's okay, then they'll do it again. There was no consequences after that. It got worse as time went on. But yeah, it happens.
Wow.
And that was I never seen it happen in my, when I was growing up, I didn't understand it back then. And I thought like, okay, did I do something? And then afterward, he would be very, very remorseful. And it's easier to stay with a person that, once there, or it was probably just my thinking, I don't know, but it will always come with something afterwards, like, okay, now you're going shopping, or now you're going to do this, or now, always very remorseful, always begging me to stay. It's never happened again, but then it continued.
Now, did you communicate with people, being that you was going through that abuse at that time?
No, and back then it was such a shame, but I think people knew, but it was nothing I would talk about. I had that syndrome that I would hide it. It was, I call it a silent epidemic. A lot of women don't share, they don't tell it. They're embarrassed. Especially if you don't leave. And I didn't. My family found out, and that cost a lot, but it didn't make me leave. I still stayed. Yeah, I didn't share it with my friends. Basically, I didn't talk about it. I act like it wasn't happening. Once that wound healed, or that my eye healed, or whatever, then I was back to normal. Just stuffing it somewhere, in the back of my head. Now I'm okay. But in reality, it's not okay.
Now, it came a moment where enough was enough, and I believe you stabbed him.
Yeah.
Take us to that day, because it was almost like premeditated murder.
Yeah, it was. It was, and I think in the movie they did it, calmer than it really was, because I waited. I had the knife. I waited. I knew he was going to come in and start some shit. So I picked the knife, the biggest one I had in the house. I laid in a bed, didn't fall asleep, waited on him to come in, and I knew he was going to start some shit. As soon as he did, I wanted to hear, but it went up in here. I was that angry, and I had planned
You went for the heart.
You went for the heart. I had planned it. I had laid in that bed, and I said, "Oh, he gonna die tonight. This nigga's gonna die tonight." And I didn't, but what happened, I did get arrested. I ended up being in the county.
Mm.
And they were talking about, and it was so shameful because I was in the county and I remember them like, bitch, you better hope he don't die. Bitch, you don't better hope he don't die. Cause I didn't know, you know, what his condition was. I just know that I was arrested. He was gone and I didn't hear from him. You know, I didn't know. They didn't tell me anything. They just told me, you know, you did this. So we're locking you up. And I think like the next night I was released because back then, you didn't have to, a person, if they don't die, they will have to press charge and say you did it. But they released me.
Got you. Now, after you get out, how long was it before y'all got back together? Because y'all wound up getting back together,
We
right?
ended
After
up
that?
getting back together. It was probably a few months, probably
Mm.
6 months. He stayed away for a while. Yeah, we didn't
Mm.
get right back together.
Mm-hmm.
But then, you know, that talking back and forth, he sweet talked me again. He didn't even hit me for a while again. He was like, every time he was like, and then I was like, you know, he wouldn't do it. So I think for
He
a
was
minute
thinking
he was
about those
scared.
stab.
Huh?
He was thinking about those stab wounds you gave him.
Yeah,
You
I
know what I
think he
mean?
think he don't know what I
Poking
got
him
going
up.
on no more. You know, he kind of like, oh shit, I better not mess with her. But yeah, you know.
Yeah.
So next time he figured out some restraint moves, that, you know. But other than that, like he had to catch me off guard or something. But that,
Got you.
yeah.
Got you. So I want to bring things up to speed because this is gonna be one of many. Understand
Okay.
you family now. Anytime when anybody come in this M.Reck universe, they become
Uh-huh.
family. So this is gonna be one of many.
Okay.
But I want to bring people up to speed that kind of heard your story,
Yes.
but your role was kind of like, how can I say, like they kind of like made it
But they kind of made
minuscule.
it
They
like
made it,
that I
yeah.
wasn't, they gave people the perception that I was just like some girlfriend type, you know,
Mm-hmm.
who was around for the money and yeah, I get it. But it wasn't like that.
Yeah, they relegated your role to just a girlfriend.
Yeah, just a girlfriend, somebody he met at a job. Are you talking about the BMF Stars
Yeah,
movie?
we talking about the BMF stars because that's
Yeah, yeah. And
Lala
the whole
played
thing
you, right?
about
She
that,
portrayed your character, right? Correct?
huh?
Lala, she portrayed your
Lala
character in the
portrayed my
BMF
character.
stars
Yeah,
series, right?
in the series.
Now, okay, the way they portrayed you. Now, did you watch the series?
No.
Okay, but people, of course, called you.
Yeah, it was when it first started, the part about me going, it was the first part when I started hearing about it. I guess I was this older woman with a bodyguard going to the high school with a lollipop. Everybody knew me back then. As a young girl, I always carried myself with, you know, class or, you know, like a boss girl back then. So you're not
Mm-hmm.
gonna see me unless it was my son's basketball game. But one thing I'm not gonna be doing, popping off with no sucker in my mouth, chasing a kid at a high school game. And so my family started saying like, wait, they got you, like, what's going on? You know, like, what do you mean? Like, because that's when she started entering the series, what, season 2 or something like that?
Yeah, I believe season
And
2.
yeah, so they betrayed me, like, kind of, you know, I think it was poor writing. um I think that if you're gonna have me, I don't care that they probably, you know, wanted to make me seem like a girlfriend or something, but really, you know, have some type of respect for me. I have a family. You don't have to like me, you don't have to love me, but where's the respect? Do not just put me out there any kind of way, because how I feel is I did my part. I was loyal, I did my time, my kids did my time. Respect who I am, because if I was a man, y'all would respect who I was. And
Correct.
I'm living. So if I'm a living person, at least say, hey, is this cool? We don't do this. I talk to Randy. I talk to the writer. And if you and the people that's executive producers, I know studios have a lot to say to make it look the way it looked. But come on, don't make me look like a girlfriend groupie chasing a 17-year-old kid around high school. And I'm a grown woman with a husband that's well known in the streets. That wasn't cool.
Well, being that you let the world know that was falsely portrayed of you,
Mhm.
give them what was really going on at that moment Because you wasn't. Let me rephrase the question. Because you wasn't somebody that was working at a limousine, like a rental limousine company. You actually owned it, right? Correct.
Me and my
Yeah.
dad owned the company,
Yeah.
but
Let's
I know
let's
in the
talk about
movie
that.
they said him and his dad owned it, but it was me and my dad owned it.
Wow.
Um, and I was, like I said, it wasn't like when I met them, like I had already had things. I just wasn't a girlfriend. Terry didn't introduce me to the lifestyle. You know, was already in the lifestyle. I met Terry and Demetrius through H. So I was already in the lifestyle. So H, because of the way we were, you gonna confide in me. He gonna make sure everything good. We doing this together. We going out of town because now I gotta be watching his back. So anybody he bring in, I'm gonna know. I'm the person that he was always like, what you think, and that was a moment. Like he said, meet me on Coral Street. I grew up on Coral Street. For some reason, we always had little meetings over there. Meet me on Coral, meet me on Coral. And he's like, call me like, meet me on Coral. I want you to meet. And then that's when I met them. So it wasn't like they brought me into the lifestyle. I did work I was a travel agent. And I did that part-time because it was like with H and me was like, we doing so much, it don't look good that, go to work, go do something, but it wasn't a
Gotcha.
full-time job. I did it, part-time, 3 days a week, hustling on the side, going to work, doing the most. So it wasn't like, that they introduced me in this, I'm some girl you took away from this drug dealer, that's not how it went.
So let me put it this way. It was the other way around. They didn't put you on, you put them on in a
Yeah.
sense. You
Well,
were H.
Yeah, they was already like hustling, but they wouldn't. That's why they were called the 50 Boys. I guess, small, whatever they were doing. And H had already went to prison, and I was just out there. And this is, I was doing my thing, just out there, hanging out, doing my thing, hustling. And Terry was a person that was always around. I was always confiding in him. He was always doing little things with me and for me. And he didn't have any money. I'm like, why you don't have no money? And I'm knowing I got bags of money downstairs, just like, well, why you ain't got no money? But he was my friend. So, like we by this time, I had already known him about 5 years. So he was my friend. I'm like, well, what's going on with you? Like, you my friend. I got all this. I'm doing this, and I got this money. What's going on? And so he started. I kind of overheard it. So I said, look, I'm gonna help you out. And I don't know what made me say it. They kind of lowered it because of the amount that I knew. I was like, just take your time. I'm gonna give you 90 days. You ain't got to rush and give me my money back. You know what I mean? But just make sure you get their money back. You just do that. And then he brought Meech in, like that's his brother. So they, that's why I said when I did the other interview, if I gave you something and somebody shared it, if I walk in your house and gave you something, y'all shared it, y'all got it from me. So that's how I feel about it when, you say things, you disrespect me like that it just wasn't cool. Cause I would never do them like that. You've never heard me in all the years, even disrespect. None of, my interviews is clean. I don't have any problems with them, on my end. So I just felt like, where's the respect? You don't have to like me, but somebody doing that for you, that's a big chance, and the amount it was a big chance, me going to somebody saying, hey, I need this for this person. Can you do it for me? That was big. People don't do that, a lot,
Correct.
And especially not, we ain't exchanging no money. It was just off the love. Hey, I need this to happen for him. This is my friend. He need to, he need to get on. And that's how it happened. Terry talks about it in Trap Queen, so it wasn't like I introduced it to the world. He told the world how it happened.
Wow. But when it came to BMF stars, it's a whole different story.
Yeah.
Got
They didn't want me involved in, okay, and after I was hurt by it because I felt like, as a, like, where's the loyalty or where's this? But I understand now that it was their story. you know, and they didn't have to involve me. And the way it went down, it was so bad, you know, it's like I was almost getting bullied, you know, on the internet from the key. It's like generations from the mom to the, you know, the sister and then the kids. Everybody was attacking me, and the only thing I wanted to do was eat. You know, like, hell, can I eat too? You know, I've been working on this thing and helping out. You know, talking to 50, talking to the writers. You know, I ain't gotta have all the money. Just let me have something. You know,
Nah,
I did
agreed.
go to prison. My family went to prison. Let me have something. Not you put other people in position. Why not put me in position? Because if I had it, even when I came home from prison, I had another show. I'm always trying to do something. You know, I'm always a creator. I have to recreate myself. So I had another show. What I did when I came home, first thing I did was, hey, I got an opportunity. Discovery finna pick up this show for me. Who y'all want on the show? I went directly to them. If I eat, y'all can eat again. And tore it down, just tore it down for no reason, you know, because certain people, when they don't understand television, it was like, oh, well, you can't do this and you can't do this. If I'm not executive producer, hell, I don't care who executive producer. Because once I get in a room, I know what I'm going to do. And it didn't happen. It was like, oh, she ain't no wife. I never said I was a wife. I never called myself a wife. I never called myself Miss Plenary. I love my name. I'm proud of my background. I'm proud of my heritage. My name is Welch, Tonesa Welch, and it would always be that until I get married. But still, I'm gonna keep I know who I am. And it was this big thing. So I end up, it was so much, I was on probation. That time I walked away. So I missed the bag then, you know, like, why you keep stopping this traction? And then when the BMF starts, I was approached then 50, some kind of way I was approached by 50. And then we started talking. And each time, because this thing been going on, you've been trying to hear about this show right about since 2016 or something. And I was talking to them since then. And to hear all this stuff from stars, you know, people don't think people hearing all this stuff. I backed away again. Well, they told me they don't want you involved in it. They don't want your name mentioned in it. They don't want your story in it. They don't want to say, okay, cool. You know, I'm hurt, but I'm gonna walk away. You know, I am hurt. I deserve to be hurt. I can be hurt. You know, those are my true feelings. But now I understand that's their story, and I wanted it to be their story. They deserve to have the checks or the money or whatever they deserve. But when you telling stars and people that you didn't want me involved, and you do a story, so I said, okay, well, I heard season 1 was, you know, or the caption in the beginning is this story is fictional, it's the names and everything to change. Don't use my story, period. Act like I wasn't involved in it. And then to see season 2, and I'm involved in it, but my character is portrayed in such a way that's hurtful, especially my abuse had nothing to do with Terry and them. That was prior to them. Harold had already been in prison. He was in prison when the stars came out. So and they know especially how I feel about that. You know, like to talk about it. I'd rather talk about it. You don't talk. Why are you talking about somebody's pain? If I'm talking about my pain, I want to talk about it because it's my therapy and I'm helping somebody else. But to see it on television and y'all didn't even ask me how I felt about it. And then you didn't want me involved. Y'all could have told a different story. I don't blame Terry. I probably blame the writer, but the writer shouldn't have been allowed to do that. And then and then y'all portray it in a way you don't even know how I feel about it. My sons and them had to look at that. My family looking at that.
Correct.
You were so diligent, so like she ain't being in it, you know, and all that. But why take those pieces of my life? You know, why take those pieces?
Now, who's the writer of the BMF Stars series?
Randy Huggins.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, so I talked to Randy Huggins from day one. Randy hadn't even he hadn't even got the contract yet to do it, but he was writing a script to become a writer. So me and him, he would call me and ask me things about, you know, the lifestyle because Terry and Meech were in prison. And I'm one of the people that can tell the story. Who else was that close? Because everybody else came farther down the line. You know, like have the BMF people. They came in farther. Now, this is a timepiece story, so I was always there. I was always around here. So Randy got a lot of information from me. But then in the end, this is how you portray me in a movie. This is being an experienced writer. This is how you felt. This is how you felt that this story can be created and even be interesting to make me feel like I'm chasing this boy around. It was not that way.
Now, when this story came out or the series came out, did you speak to Terry, or are y'all still good, or y'all
Well, yeah, I
don't speak?
spoke to Terry because you got to remember Terry was still in prison when they were creating the show. So I was very involved in helping stir that pot for him, like making sure that he get, because I was like 50, it's no way you can't do that story without Terry. So I'm making sure he eats. Like, yeah,
So hold on,
you
you
gotta
told,
have him in the story. Make sure he be in the story, even if I have to tell it for him. But he still give him the money, and I said it just like that. But the story,
wow.
you have to add his story. And so once he came home, like I said, I even got him the lawyers. Hey, he in prison, ain't got no money, but can you do me a favor? Can you do this? Can you gonna get paid? I was doing it like. Make sure you're good. Make sure you're good. I didn't have those kind of hangups. I don't care about, what you have history, so what's the problem with somebody if he makes money, okay, maybe he would gave me some or something. I don't know. But I was making sure that he was good. And I didn't find out until after he was home and he started negotiating that I was X'd out.
Wow. Wow. I mean, he had to have some say so in that.
Yeah, that's how I
He
felt,
had to either green light it or,
Huh? I'm sorry.
he had to have some say so in that, like, the final, I guess, writing or
Yeah.
the
And he
final.
did. And I asked him, I told him, I said, okay, I found out what was going on. Please don't. You know, if y'all feel that, if your family feel that strong about it, please don't put me in your story. Make it up. Make up a new girlfriend. Don't put me in your story. And I said, because why put me in a story y'all feeling like so harsh about it? You don't want, you paid the neighbor, you paid somebody else to be a consultant. Why even add me to the story? Why was I so interesting in that story? So, and I asked them, I said, when you sit down with Randy, please don't tell them anything about me and you. And when I looked, season 2, that's what it was.
Wow. Now, let me ask you this. What was your relationship with Big Meech? Because in your story, the B.E.T. movie, right, it seemed like he didn't favor you much.
No.
Now,
And I think it was always a crazy story. Oh, she took my brother. Oh, because really, when I think about it, I've always asked, like, well, what is it that I've done so I can correct me? Because people do things unconsciously, and I was always like that, too apologetic, people pleaser. Like, what is it? Why I can't figure it out? And I think the separation, because Terry started being, around me a lot, and we were making a lot of money together, and I think that's where the envy and the jealousy kind of started, because I can't, in the life of me, I can't understand what it was. I don't know. If you find out, let me know, because I've always been respectful from to his mom, to his sister, to the family. Always been respectful. I'm not, I caught myself trying to, lower my standards a little bit, just make them like, oh, I don't want to feel like I'm, up here. But why was I doing that? I was making money before I met you. I was already had things. I shouldn't have felt like I had to, always compromise. And I was always compromising, And so I don't know. I don't really know where that came from. It was like a tug of war of this person's attention, and not just like, you always gonna love your family. You're always gonna love, and it's a whole different type of love. And I never interfered in that, but it was just like they didn't. So.
Got you. I'm gonna just speculate. It might have came from maybe he felt where the relationship was going with you and Terry that it was gonna mess with the business. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it
In
wasn't
terms
no
of
business. That's what I'm telling you.
oh
What business
wow.
was it? Because I had to come in and give you business. It was no business, right?
Mm,
In the beginning, when H was home, I didn't know the way Terry felt about me. I didn't know he had immediate attraction. I just thought
mm,
that he was a cool young man. You know, he was cool. H trusted him over everybody, you know, when they
mm,
started working together. So I didn't, maybe Meech knew something I didn't know, you know,
mm,
what this, I didn't know that because it took years. Harold H was already out of the picture. He was already in prison. It took years for me and Terry to even come together as, you know, a couple. We were just
mm,
friends hanging out. I was hanging out with other people, just hanging, you know, doing me. But we were like always group, you know, always in a group, always hanging out. We didn't do all that, you know, on television. Like he was this 19-year-old, 18-year-old, whatever he was. And I just started dating him behind H back. It didn't happen like that. It
got you.
didn't come until years later
Mhm,
when, like I said, I was still already doing what I was doing. And they, you know, weren't doing so good. You know,
mm,
that's the life. You know, everybody had the up and downs or whatever in the street game. And they weren't doing so good. But he was my friend. He was always around me. He was always at my house. And I felt like you were my friend, so I'm gonna help y'all. You know, help y'all. They were together. They're, you know, they work together. So here, I'm gonna give you the bag. You go, y'all go
mm.
work it. Go help. You know, go do what you need to do with it. So it
Wow.
was no messing up then because it was nothing to mess up. We didn't do anything.
Mm,
But I think they did say it in their movie or something like that, right? That's why he liked me. He thought Terry was gonna mess up the bag, but no.
mhm,
It seemed like when I gave him the bag, he should have liked me even more, but
mm.
he didn't.
Got you. Now, in the your let's just say your movie, right? When it came to the starting of BMF down to the name, you was involved with that, right? Correct?
I was around, yeah. They were because a lot of and that's a true story. Like when I met them, they always were interested in music. You know, they came from a music background from the church. So they were trying to start a record label. But now we're talking fast forward, we in 2000s now, you
Mm-hmm.
know? And this is probably like when we got to LA, it was like 2000. And
Mm-hmm.
so then, you know, I was still already had my money, you know, my own money and everything.
Mm-hmm.
They wanted to do the music business. So it was called, I forgot what the name was. There, you know, it wasn't like a gang name. It was a label name, and
Mm-hmm.
they wanted to change it to something, you know, like something different. And that's when it was Meech and a couple other guys. They wanted, you know, they came up with BMF because it sounded harder, you know, like and
Mm-hmm.
then you always had, you know, in that life you always had a bunch of guys around, so it just, you know, sound like a tougher name, but it wasn't like a drug name. It was for the music company.
Got you. Now, I know you had your own thing going and you had involvement with them because y'all had business. But what would you think was the downfall to BMF?
I think it got with me with what I was like telling them, like, you know, because I've been to this rodeo before I was older. It was too many people, and when it's too many people, you don't have enough eyes to watch everybody. And I thought, like in a drug game, it's not, you don't announce it. You don't want, I wouldn't want nobody to know. I always thought about my freedom, and I think it was too many people. You couldn't watch the people. It was just too much going on. Like, where was the secrecy? I mean, you know, where were any of that? Like, we're
Mm-hmm.
out here selling drugs, you know, you can't be out here like that. That's why you never seen Terry out there like that. Terry was kind of like always kind of low key because it was like, we ain't doing that. We would go out sometimes to some parties and, you know, get a little, you know, in our groups, but it wasn't like that. And I just think that was the downfall. Too many things was
Mm.
happening. Too many people started getting hurt, you know, and it was just, it was going too fast. Like I'm saying, it's 2000 to 2005. I'm like, oh, dang, that was short lived. you know, from somebody had already been in the life for
Mm.
so long. I looked at it. I moved to California in 2000. By 2005, I was indicted because it was just, I said by 2003, the world had knew, you know, about BMF. And
Mm.
it was just, you know, I like, and you can't be mad at it. I mean, you know, like we took responsibility. Everybody went to prison. Um, if it wasn't, you know, no matter how you look at it, Meech did brand it, you know.
Mhm.
Nobody wouldn't have probably even thought about BMF if it wasn't for Meech. He did make a name for BMF, and he made it intriguing enough that everybody wanted to hear the story. You know,
Correct.
looking now that I even look in, when I look into it outside looking in, it's just like, wow, we got to do some amazing things. You know, we seen a lot, we did a lot in that time span. It was a world, it was a movement, and it happened like that. Will it happen again? I don't think it'll happen again. But he made it out of a movement. And looking at it, I would have been interested in wanting to know all about it because I lived it and I know what
Mm.
it was all about. And it was something different. It was like,
Mhm.
wow, I can't believe this is happening kind of thing. But it just got too big and too many people.
Got you. Got you.
Sorry if I was a little lengthy in
Mhm.
that story, but I'm trying to get it out. I mean, like, yeah.
Yeah. So during that time when things was like you kind of felt it, right? Because in your
Yeah.
film,
Yeah.
you was given.
It's
Mhm.
something about, you know, I've always had these intuitions and
Mhm.
things like that, even when I was with H, because I've been being around, I would always check him. And I don't know what it was, why, you know, why it was coming to me. But
Mhm.
I've always had, and I was always warning to, but people don't want to hear that, you know, like, oh, you stop saying it. They don't want to hear it from a woman. You know how y'all are. Y'all don't want to hear it. But I was saying it because
Mhm.
of, you know, like I said, the maturity, being in it before, just knowing it, just sitting back, observing, you know, um, and just watching. I'm
Mhm.
very picky about who I bring into my life, into my circle. And so I was just always watching people. Trust
Got you.
value, trust issues, real, you know, real bad trust issues.
Got you.
So I
What
always had
was?
a problem
Let
with
me
it.
not to cut your wisdom. What was some of the signs you was getting that it was? You know, the
It was
walls were
just coming
closing
to
in.
me like the time that we did on there, and I think I don't know if they got to it, like him being on the phone. And
Mm.
he had these phones, and it was just like, it was like I could hear it. Like it was just
Mm.
like it was. I don't know what it was that I can't. It was like I was on a three-way. I could hear everything. And I asked him. I said, "Okay, where you at?" And he said, "I said, okay. When you get off the phone," he told me he was really on the freeway. And I said, "When you get off the phone, roll down the window, throw that bitch out the window." And
Mm.
he did, and he held on to the phone.
Oh
And
wow.
then, I would see things. Even my young son at the time, my son probably was like 12, and he could see people on the, you know, I'm taking him to school. He's like, you see them people on the phone, you
Mhm.
know, on the telephone poles? And I'll be like, no, I didn't see him. And then, you know, I got to circle
Mm.
back. Or you could tell, when you follow, you could tell everything it was just in the feelings. And like they had the one person, Doc, who told on everybody, you know, I
Damn.
couldn't even stand his voice. Like when he would come into the room, when I first met him, he'd come into the room, I would have to leave out. And I didn't, that's then I was like, who gave you? I'm a person, I want to know where you come from.
Mm.
Why are you here? And I would always question that, well, where you know him from? Well,
Mhm.
why is he here? And stuff like that would bother me. So they would always think that I was like, you know, thinking I knew too much, but it wasn't.
Mm.
It was just the instincts that I had as a, you know, being in the streets and being a woman.
And that woman intuition.
Yeah,
Yeah.
intuition was always kicking in, always
Mhm.
kicking in. It seemed like every time I would say something, don't, it would come, and I would just be hating to say things. It got to a point where, don't say it. Maybe you making it happen. Maybe you bringing it on. But I was
Mhm.
just feeling it, you know,
Mhm.
knowing it. Like we were in Hawaii, and I knew we was being followed, and he couldn't see it. I'm like, you don't see this person, you know, he's always around, you know, and just knowing, I watch my surroundings a lot. I always have, because I was young and growing up and being back in the day, Detroit, you know, it was a little tough. It was being in the life back then, it was tougher then. You know, you had to get busy back then.
Facts.
So it was all kicking in.
Now I gotta ask you this question.
Okay.
Because you had turmoil. Huh? Say it again.
I said you got a lot of I gotta ask questions.
Yeah. Because you started off, you said take it easy with me. So I think I took it easy up until this point. So now it's gonna get a little uneasy real quick. You know what I mean?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
But you spoke on this, so you know, I think you can handle this. Now, you had a little turmoil with one of the executive producers. Could you speak on that? Could you elaborate?
You talking about Tammy Cowins?
Correct.
I talked to her one time. Terry was in prison. He asked me to, you know, call her and see what's going on with her. You know, I guess she had reached out to him. And she immediately got really nasty with me. And I said, all right, you know, all right, shit. I ain't got to call you no more. And I hung up. But she was one of the people that was always doing these little interviews, you know, oh, she ain't nobody, she ain't this, you know, like, yeah. I wish she would have said that shit before I went to prison. It would have helped a lot in the courtroom. And so I never knew who she was, just heard her voice one time. What she did was, I didn't know that she was an informant. What they did, the DA called me. I guess she gave my number, whatever, and they said, you know, Tonesa Welch. Like, yes. And they was like, this is what I can't remember the sergeant's name. And he said, we need you to come down to the federal building. And I'm like, why? And he said, we'll tell you when you get here. And he said, when can you come? So I gave him some kind of excuse, like, oh, I can't get there till tomorrow or some shit, I said. And he was like, okay, well, if you can't get here, we can come get you. So I said, you know what? I didn't want him to come pick me up. You're not going to pick me up in front of my family and that like that. Right. So it's my youngest son. I called him. I said, look, come get me. I don't know what's going on, but I got to go downtown. And so I said, about time we got there, and I said, if I'm not out at a certain time, make sure you call my attorney. And he said, what's going on? I said, I don't even know. I didn't know. So when I got in there, you know, they put you in that little room, you see on little 48 hours. I'm looking like, what the fuck? Because I'm already, though, like, and your mind starts playing tricks like, am I getting re-indicted? Or, you know, and I know I'm not doing things. Did they forget something that I did years ago and they're coming back? Because they didn't tell me anything. They just told me I had to come down. And when I get there, they said, they started talking about something that I did to Tammy. And I was like, I really couldn't think, like, I almost kind of forgot, like Tammy, they told me her whole name. They told me, I forget the verbiage that they used, but they said that I was messing with one of their people, that she was a government informant, but they use another term, but I know what it means, a government informant, and that I was messing up their investigation. And that do I know that by me being a felon, that they could have, what they was going to charge me with, and that they could lock me up. And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about, but they said that I was she told them that I knew about the investigation, and I called and threatened her. I told them that I was going to have something done to her. And you know, when you can't say anything to a government informant, it is a felony. And being a felon, they could have arrested me immediately. So at that time, I said, well, I don't even know this person, and you can't even prove that I said shit to her or that I had sent anybody after her. And so let me call my lawyer. So they went out the office, they came back out. By this time, they did let me make a phone call. My lawyer was telling, you know, they were talking or whatever, you know, but so by that time, I'm sorry. So my lawyer had the conversation with him, and they said, okay. So a few minutes later, they were still trying with the scare tactic, and I'm just like, okay, what y'all gonna do? Y'all already talked to my lawyer. Am I arrested or what? Because I said, you can't prove that I said anything to this lady. I said, we had one conversation, and it wasn't about me having her knocked off or doing anything. People always, you know. And so they said, well, we're gonna let you go this time.
Wow.
But we you know, it's not going to end here or something like that. So I said,
Wow.
okay. So after that, talked to my lawyer.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was bad for a minute. They kept, you know, tapping in, like watching, saying that I, you know, going back and forth with my lawyer. And yeah, like why would, you know, my whole thing is, Tammy, you don't even know me. Why
Mm.
would you want to take me away from my family? Who does that? You know, I already served
Mhm.
time. Who the
Mm.
fuck want? I'm a woman with kids, a mama, a daddy. I've already disappointed them, and I wasn't gonna do anything else to disappoint them to go back to prison. What could have I done to even make you want to see me locked back up?
Mm.
What could a person do? I can't even see hurting anybody like that. Why would you do that? You
Fact.
know, like just because you got the power to do it, because this is your game. But I didn't know who she was. I still didn't know who
Mm.
she was. I had my lawyer looking for, I had my cyber
Mhm.
friends looking for. They had erased her completely off the map.
Wow.
Completely didn't know nothing about it. Asking people, go to Atlanta, do y'all know this person? Nobody knew her.
Mm.
Found out she'd been a informant since 2009 or something like that,
Mm.
2009. But when I first seen her, I was watching, you know, on IG. I was on social media, and it was the BMF premiere, premiere in Atlanta.
Mhm. Mhm.
I knew somebody as I was watching somebody's live. I seen her standing next to Terry's mother, and it automatically hit me. I told
Mm.
the person that was doing the live, I said, could you walk up and ask that, you know, or find out? I did say, walk up and find that girl, what's her name?
Mhm.
But I did know she became the executive producer of the show. And that was
Mm.
another reason. She was telling stars that so many bad things about me, don't have her involved, she's gonna do this and all of that. Was trying to just get me out the way, like
Wow.
out the way. And so when my friend walked up and found out who she was, I said, that's that bitch. I had never
Mm.
seen her before. She had to come out of hiding for the series. She wanted to be seen then, you know.
Mm.
But yeah, this is a true story. That's what happened. And that's what they said to me. So anybody
Got
want to
you. I
ask,
want.
I do a lie
Mhm.
detector test, anything they want. I know what happened to me. I know I went down to the DA office and I know what they told me.
Got you. Now, not only is she an executive producer of the show, she owned Meech rights, right? Life rights, correct?
Mhm.
Could you
Because while
elaborate
they
on
were
that?
being in prison, even with me, if somebody in prison, they want to do their stories, they can't gain monetarily. So they have to give their rights to someone to,
Mm.
you know, so they can talk about the show, just get, you know, so that's how he had to do it. So he gave them to her.
What's so crazy is she's a government informant, and in Meech being from the streets, it's like he couldn't choose a better option.
You know, I can't even
Wow.
tell you. That would be a
Mhm.
question for him. I don't
Mm.
know. You know, I don't know
Mm.
at what point he found out. I know I told the world back then. I told all of them. So I don't know, because I was like, you know, I need help. You know, I don't want to go back to prison. These people back
Mhm.
on my head. Can y'all get this bitch off of me? Like, I don't even know her. You know, they telling me I can't even leave the city of you know, I can't leave Los Angeles. I can't go back to Detroit to see my family because, you know, this investigation was going on.
Damn.
And so I'm asking them, you know, can y'all find out what's going on? Like, why is she doing this? You know, I let her
Mhm.
slide with the first interview. She did an interview, I think it was with one of the, like the Source magazine, talking about me. You ain't never met me. You never seen
Mm.
me. I mean, you just seen me. Why am I such a fucked up, a thorn in your soul? You know, you're gonna get your bag. I'm not stopping you. You make money doing what you do. I just
Mhm.
see it's a heartless, cold-blooded person, and I don't
Mm.
know why he's still. You know, I can't answer that. You
Yeah, I
know,
got you.
I can't.
Now, I was told, shouts to Darren Dickerson, that you had the meeting with 50 first about your story.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't about my story. It was
Mhm.
about the whole. I think Tammy and Meech were talking on my phone. Like Tammy and Meech were talking to him, but for me and T, I have to meet 50. Yeah.
Mm. What was that meeting like? How did that go?
It was cool. 50 was, it was nice to me. He was cool. We were trying to come to an understanding of how the story should go. He ran everything down on me that, he wanted me in the writer's room to be a part of the story. I guess he was in the middle of a fight. He wanted the story, but if they didn't want me in, they were the bigger picture then. They were the people that they were more people wanted to hear their story, but they were more
Mm.
interested in them. So here I am, just a part of it, but he was more
Mhm.
interested in their story at first. And so when they didn't want me involved, I think Meech and Tammy and the mom or whatever, um, he was in a tug of war. He was kind of like, damn, I need you, but I'm obligated over here. I want this story. So their story sounded more interesting to him. And so it was like that thing, he couldn't,
Oh
I mean,
wow.
it's how it goes, I can't be mad
Mm.
at him for them not wanting me involved in it. I got it, you be hurt. I understand it now and I got it. It was their story.
Mm.
Maybe I felt entitled to something that I wasn't entitled to, but I had to get through that emotion by myself and understand it because I did have a lot of input in, talking to the writers, having, conversations and stuff. So it's
Got
just
you.
a little left out.
Now, you dropping your movie on BET, you think that's gonna cause turmoil? You because now all they narratives about you and your character that was
Mhm.
portrayed by Lala is gonna look kind of like funny to light. You know what I mean?
It's my
So,
story, and
mm,
my story can be, you know, um, people can validate my story. It's my story. They got their
mm,
story. It's my story. I mean, why would they get mad? Like
mm.
I had to do what I had to do. Y'all didn't want me involved. I was approached. Judge Mathis and BET approached me and said, "Hey, we want to do your story."
Mm.
And they'll, say, "So, why should I turn down my story for them? My life got to
Mhm.
go on too. I got to make money. I got to eat. I got to always keep creating myself. And I had the opportunity to do a story, and that's what I'm doing."
Got you. But your story coming out, and I guess what they on season 3, right?
Hmm.
They they may have to rewrite that whole season 3, especially if they got your characters being portrayed by Lala still in that season.
I don't know.
Or, or
Like
maybe
I
they
said,
just gonna have to
that would be on
roll the
them because
dice.
remember they didn't want me involved. So if they didn't
Yeah,
tell that story, we wouldn't be here, right? They wouldn't
correct.
have to worry about it. No, like I don't know what to say.
Wow. So now with your story, was it initially a series or was always a movie?
It was always a movie, but
Mhm.
what do you think? You think it should be a series, huh?
I think it should be a series, but y'all
Yeah.
did a great job the way y'all consumed everything in that hour and a half, hour 45
Right,
minutes.
right. And there's so many
Yeah.
different layers in my life. But like I did the film festival and they were saying, "Oh, we need this. This should be a series." I did, like I
Mm,
told you, I did the press junket yesterday, and people were saying this should be a series. I don't have an
correct.
eye for that, but when people, this is what they do all the time. They write movies, they watch, they direct movies. That would be something, they're giving me input like this needs to be a series. And the way I think it ended, because we kind of changed the end, and I think that was you know, we might want to do this as a series. I'm hoping. I
Definitely.
can't see why, because my life is still going on. You got H that just came home a couple of years ago, and being doing his thing, being successful. You just never know. It could be.
Got you.
It's
Like I
still
said, it's
motion.
gonna be one of many. This gonna be one
Huh?
of many on MRecktv, right? With you,
Yes.
these interviews with you. I want to say this though, because I'm in the business as well, right? The filming business.
Hmm.
Name all the people that's a part of the production and just on the executive side as well. With your movie.
There's Judge Mathis, Tresha Smallwood, Mega Minds, B.E.T. There's Delise. What's Delise's last name? Oh God, I can't remember her last name. Delise is a executive producer. There's a couple other people that came in on the project, but just Mega Minds and B.E.T. the writer. I think they did an amazing job. Like when you telling your story, like
Correct.
you said, you're on that side of it, and you telling your story, you don't know what it's gonna, look like. You
Mm-hmm.
don't know how they're gonna put it together. You're just talking. You're just
Mm-hmm.
talking to a person. So a lot of things I didn't even remember I said or told them. But
Mm.
yeah, it was pretty cool how it came up. And I thank everyone on that production side. You got they all like Vivica Fox. I call them director, Queen Director Fox. She did her thing.
Mm.
The Michelle Michener who played my character did a thing. Tobias. All of those people brought together a wonderful piece, and I thank them all from the bottom of my heart. They put their heart into it. They believed in the story, and yeah, I might miss some names, but it was a lot of people involved, and I thank them.
Got you. But Vivica directing this may definitely bring some smoke with 50 Cent with their relationship, their history and all that. Um, did you ever think of that?
I did at first.
Mm.
I completely forgot about that. Until that little meme came out that he made. I completely forgot about them as being a
Mm.
couple or having tension. I've been thinking stuff so old. Why are you even caring about a lot of those things?
Mm-hmm.
I've been through so much. I like to just keep it moving, forgive,
Mm-hmm.
move on. And, the past is the past. I don't want to keep, being mad about stuff. I really just forgot about that gossip. It didn't interest me. So when
Mm.
it came up, I'm like, oh shit, they did have a thing. I forgot.
Facts. And this right here, I think is going to rekindle that, at least the negative side, because I don't think they rectify things. And then the fact that your story is exposing kind of your truth. You know what I mean?
But why do you say it's
So,
exposing? It wasn't intentional to expose anything
mhm,
against them.
mhm,
It's just my story. Like
mhm,
I can't fabricate my story. It's just like you're
correct,
asking me questions. If they're asking me, yeah, this is how this happened.
correct.
And I didn't want to
Mhm,
tell it, you forget a lot of things, but like I told myself, I'm gonna tell it the best to my ability that I remember. And I didn't want to do it to make anybody look bad. My story wasn't to make them look bad or to be,
mm,
like they're them against me. I didn't do
mm,
that. Even like
got you.
they made it like that. I didn't. I just wanted to
Mm,
do my story. And when I looked at it, I said, even when I came home from prison, I had always knew that this is what I was gonna do. But I didn't want to do a story at that time because I had no content. I wanted to be able to, you know, build myself up,
mhm,
do all my goals and stuff like that. I want to always do a book. I didn't think about a movie, but just different things. Like I told you, I tried to do a show when I first came home from prison. So all of this
mhm,
just, it's, how can I say it? It's not to target them like, oh, y'all didn't want me in it, so now I'm going to
mhm,
do my own. It didn't come like that. It just came as an opportunity once I let go and say, okay, and push it back. It felt like I was pulling at a door that was closed. And once I
mhm,
released that door, and said this door is not going to open for me. Then it came to me, the judge and B.E.T. came to me and said, hey, we want to do your story.
mm,
They seen an interest in it. Something brought an interest in it, so
mhm.
there was. It wasn't like I was searching out people to target them. It was nothing like that. So if their story and my story, you know, come to like it wasn't like that for me. I don't know how to
Got
put
you.
it, but yeah.
Now I want to make sure because I'm just learning your voice. Did you do narration in your story? In
No, I
your movie?
didn't.
Oh,
I
you
think
did?
and I didn't see that piece. I did say something at the beginning. Yeah, I
Hmm.
did. This is
Yeah,
my
yeah. In the
story.
beginning, I
Yeah.
remember now. Hmm.
Uh-huh.
What was that like for you? Like,
Doing that,
yeah,
I was nervous
you was
because, like I
nervous.
said, I'm just really nervous. I was just like, I'm just, a girl with a past, drug past. Who often did, get to do their story on television? I'm like, this was nerve. It was really, my anxiety was so high during the whole time, you know, talking about it, coming to the movie set. It was just, it was off the chart. You know, I couldn't relax. I'm like, I need some volume, or something to smoke or something. You know, it was just, you know, let me say I was nervous. I was just doing it. Even talking about that, just watching Michelle, talking to Michelle, you know, the woman that plays my character.
Yeah, I was going to speak on that. She did a great job to me. How you felt
She
about
did a great job
the
to
role
me
she
also.
portrayed of you?
I think she did an amazing job. She was so, you know, she had so much passion in the character. Even when she talked to me and she said, I wanna talk to you. I want to get to know your character. I want to know, you know, she knew about, you know, when we were talking about the domestic violence, she was very concerned about that. She was, you know, like, I want to come across where you don't feel hurt. I want you to feel safe. And that made me feel comfortable. But she's good. She's good, you know. She put her
Yeah, she
heart
did a
into
great
it.
job.
She did a great job. She put her heart into it. Her and Tobias, the one who played H, oh my God, that chemistry there was dynamic.
Facts.
Yeah.
Shouts to Tobias. That's the homie. Me and him was in a movie together a few
Oh,
years ago.
really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Equal
My first
Standard.
time meeting him,
Yeah,
he's a dope soul. He's just
yeah,
dope.
he's dope. Yeah, definitely. Also, we got to shout out the stylist for the actor that played you. She was fly. They had her real fly.
Oh, her name is I think she's Tressa's sister, but I just know about like her Instagram is boutique cash or something like that. She did her thing too, right? She
Yo,
did. She said she was just
she was
watching
fly.
pictures. She talked to me. She said, I want to get it right. She talked to other people. She did a great job. I think that,
Yeah.
you know, just watch it, that the whole, they all did a great job. I'm not even surprised.
I think when people watch this, they're gonna fall in love with not only the character, you, because you were so flamboyant. Like, I ain't gonna front. I'm watching the movie, but I'm intrigued by not only the beauty, the fashion, the clothes. You know, she was sexy. You know, so
Thank
you know,
you.
bossy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think people gonna
And she
love
got
this
it. Yeah,
film.
she really got it. That was truly, when
Yeah,
I look back, and I'm like, oh, that was me. I was like, you know, just a boss, hard, you know, tough, you know.
yeah,
So she got it. She got it right. Yeah. I
definitely.
didn't soften up until I came home from prison. I'm like, I'm tired of being this tough. I want to just be, you know, really be able to relax and, you know. I don't
Got
want to
you.
ever have to watch my back. I don't want to have to be, you know, this girl that's always fighting in this man's world. I just want to be cool.
Definitely, definitely. So, how can people follow you on social media?
And they can follow me. My Instagram is First Lady Tonesa or First Lady of BMF. But I like them to follow First Lady Tonesa. That's why I got my little check it. So, yeah, you can follow me there. It's my same name on Twitter, Facebook, First Lady Tonesa.
Got you. And let them know once again when the
Oh,
movie is
yeah.
coming out.
My movie will be coming out. That's what you were going to tell me?
Yeah, yep.
They're streaming on BET, BET Plus. So y'all tune in. Y'all come check me out. Come check the story out. It's good.
That's what's up.
My name is Tonesa Welch, and I'm live on MRecktv.
MRecktv.